looking
Yeah.
good.
So as Matthew said, I'm from Solent Business and Skills Solutions. So we are a hub. We're based out of Southampton City Council, but we work with not only Southampton Council, Portsmouth Council as well, and the New Forest District Council. And in the New Forest, we specifically provide free, impartial advice and guidance on apprenticeship and skills. So a little bit about who I am, although I do realise that most of you on the call know me. But I just like to sort of say a little bit about who I am so you understand where I'm coming from in the advice that I'm giving. So I am a previous business owner myself. I had a small retail business for 6 years in sunny Bognor Regis. So I do understand the challenges of running a business. So when I'm talking to business owners and managers, you know, about their skills needs, about their training needs, I can relate. So I understand where you're coming from. I then had a career in educational institutions. So I've worked for universities, colleges, a private school. So I've sort of always been in that educational sphere, and I know a lot about what training opportunities are out there. And then lastly, I'm a New Forest resident. And that might not seem important, but it is to me because I'm local and I'm out and about all the time. And also I use some of the businesses as well as a resident. So I just think that's important to mention. So why is skills development important? So there's been a lot of talk recently in the press and generally a lot of the events I've been attending where skills shortages are quite often mentioned. And really skills development, especially down here in the New Forest, is really important in terms of making sure we're developing the people that live in this area to continue the businesses and to continue the growth that we have. I know several of you on the call today are founders and you might not necessarily employ staff. However, skills can still be relevant to you in terms of what you can bring into your business, or in terms of if you're looking to grow and one day hire staff, skills development and apprenticeships can be a route for that. So skills development, the future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways. I love this quote. I just think it's really important. And I think a lot of you on the call that I know, you're really involved in learning. You're quite passionate yourselves about learning and developing. So I'm hoping you can relate to that. So what is it that I actually do? So I go into a business and basically I have a chat with them about their business, about their team, what the different roles are in the business, where the business is going. And through that discussion, we identify any kind of skills gaps that they have, and I look for practical solutions. If they're looking to bring in staff to do a specific role, I can match that with an apprenticeship standard. There's over 846 apprenticeship standards, so I can usually match those to a training program. I can also provide advice on funding, grants, incentives, as Matthew mentioned in our introductory talk. It is sad sometimes how these things get missed just because they're not known about. So in my advice, I always include what grants are available, what incentives are available, and if possible, I will facilitate a funding application to ensure that training is fully funded for small businesses. I also source and refer to training providers. So I'm linked in with all the prominent local training providers, a very good relationship with Brockenhurst College, Totton College, as well as the private providers in the area, such as Paragon and many others. And then also, I'm constantly sort of networking and reaching out and connecting with people that provide skills training, and it could be like those little kind of short courses and specialized training. So I'm kind of I started referring to myself as the Google of training. So instead of you having to sit there and research what's out there, what you could do, what it would cost you, where you could go, you just sort of tell me and then I can send you a load of links to look at, and you don't have to waste all that time. And also, if you are going down the apprenticeship route, I can help with the digital apprentice service advice, because it is all done online now, and that can sometimes be a bit tricky, but I can help with that. So while we're on apprenticeships, what are the benefits? Well, you can train an apprentice in the way that you want them to work according to your business needs. I was chatting to a provider actually this morning at Bees Nest about how he really focuses on tailoring the training. Although there is the standard of what the course content, the way apprenticeships are delivered, you can tailor it. So it's always best to work with your training provider and tell them what you need from the person in that role and what the business needs, and they can make sure it's tailored. You employ an apprentice who's generally interested in that sector and motivated. You know, if they're doing that job and a course, they tend to be very interested in what they're doing and have that kind of thirst to learn. It's a great way to expand your workforce, and it's also a great way to upskill. So if you have people in your business and you want to take them to a higher level, the most common one of that is I talk to people and they want to put people on a sort of middle management training course so that they can grow within the business, and you're not losing that person to a competitor. You're developing them in-house and keeping those, you know, their talent and their loyalty, but you're also developing their career. Apprenticeships can be either for current employees or new staff, as I said, and it can be any age. Over 18, but it can be any age, and you can do it at any level. You can do, a lot of people think apprentices might just be for 16-year-olds at entry level, or they assume it's still just trade based, but it's really not. You can do an MBA as an apprentice. And as I said, there's 846 standards, and you will see on Apprenticeship Week, everybody wheel out the really unusual ones to sort of catch people's attention, like embalmer, and I think there was one for, I think it was a nuclear plant operative, which is a bit of a funny one, but that is an apprenticeship. So, right, so other types of skills development. So as I said, we covered apprenticeships. There is a whole plethora of ways that you can bring skills into your business. So first of all, in terms of putting your, if you have staff or yourself and you want to develop your own skills or your skills of your staff, but you don't want to commit to an apprenticeship, the length and the studying for the qualification, you just want a kind of smaller input. Skills boot camps are a way to do that, and there's a variety of different incarnations of those, as I was chatting to Matthew about last week. So they're in various different subjects. For business owners, they are free to attend, and they are generally sort of 12 to 16 week courses delivered remotely. So it'd be like 2 hours on a Monday evening, once a week for 16 weeks. And that's a great way of upskilling and it not having too much kind of impact on taking you out of the business. Some of them are delivered in person. Some of them you would have to go to an actual training venue, but as I said, some are online. Masterclasses, of course, do have to mention New Forest Business Partnership, as Matthew said earlier. The Canva one was yesterday. There's a great list of workshops that they're delivering across the year, which I think is really nice, because you can do that learning and then embed it and then go to the next one and learn different things. Or if there's specific skills that you want to learn, you can sort of pick and choose which one you would want to go to. I think they're a fantastic way of learning. They have networking in the morning, and also you're with other businesses. So sometimes online learning is great for people. That's how they digest their content, and that's what they want to do. However, sometimes being in a group and discussing and sharing ideas is the best way of learning. So as I said, when I'm working with a business, I always tailor the recommendations and the advice to what their need is and to how they want to learn and how it's going to fit in. So as I said, on in-person courses, webinars, online short courses, and then university placements or student placements in general. We heard from Kate last week, and I think there's some really fantastic opportunities, especially for small businesses who are looking to grow, to bring skills into their business without having to hire a new member of staff. So to use the kind of university students either on a placement year or as an internship, which Kate talked about yesterday, can be really good way of bringing them in and working on a specific project. So say your business say Natalie, for example, her business is finance. So she's working, you know, she's got her client base, she's got her work that she does, but then she wanted to work on a project that involved an event. She's not got the time to do that because she's got her focus. That wouldn't, hiring a second person to do just that one thing doesn't really make sense. But if she put it together as a project and a piece of work a student could do, she can get that intern into the business, and they can work specifically on that project for a set period of time. And then, you know, that piece of work is done and she hasn't, you know, had to commit to a full-time member of staff, but those skills have come in, and also the benefits for the students. I think Matthew was talking last week as well about the interns that he's had. The benefit to them of experiencing a real workplace is just, you know, you can't compare it. And I'm sure Kate, please do contact either myself or Kate for more information, because there's so many opportunities. There really is. Work experience. So again, and you've got sort of the university level placement, and I should have mentioned T levels because Ryan mentioned T levels. So for those of you that don't know, T levels are kind of an A level equivalent, but they have an element of work placements in them. So whereas an apprenticeship, you're based in the workplace for 4 days and you have 20% off the job training, T level is kind of the reverse of that. So they're in college learning 4 days a week, and then they're in a workplace 1 day a week. And again, it's a great way of bringing skills into your business. If you have a T-level placement student coming to you once a week, you know, you can really sort of spend some time mentoring them on that day, but then the rest of the week you've still got, you know, to be able to focus on your business, but you can still be able to mentor a work placement student, which is great. And also there's benefits to the business in terms of bringing in a young person from college, because they always have, you know, they always understand the latest technologies, and they might have different perspectives on things, and they might even challenge your thinking and approaches to the way you're doing things. So it's great to do. So work experience then for the younger levels. So if we're thinking of, you know, the sixth forms or even the GCSE students, I think in year 10, it's around about now they all tend to head out for a week. So I think some of you have heard this presentation before. So when I say, what did I do? I did a week with my local council in their public relations team, because I used to want to go into PR. But then I discovered that my writing wasn't quite up to scratch. My spelling and grammar is not of the level of a copywriter. So that career dream fizzled away. Would anybody else like to share what they did for work experience? Ryan, you're nodding.
Sure. I can go for it. I did work experience at a radio station back up in Bolton, which was interesting. I was working on, you know, like putting together some of the jingles that they did. One for a funeral business, which was interesting. And then I think on one day I was dressed up in their mascot, which was pretty sure it was an elephant. Bolton's connected to elephants. But it was like a really old, sweaty costume, and it was a really hot day. Not the highlight of that placement, but overall a great experience, and I learned a lot for sure.
Yeah, yes, I love that you learned a lot. It really is vital. Does anyone else want to share? So go on, Kate. What did you do?
So I don't think I was in the country when we did work experience, but I did work as a welder when I was about 15. And then, but when I was working my first job when I was in my 20s, I worked, Leicestershire County Council gave me opportunity to be part of the Prince's Trust programme, where I went in as an adult, as an employee, so I got to do like half of the amount of stuff that they did. So it's not quite the same, but it's doing something work experience-ish.
It's an opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
And I like that you said work experience-ish, because I think a lot of people have that perception of work experience, that it is a week and you have to babysit someone for a week. But it really is changing. So I spoke to a sixth form up in Ringwood, And the workplace coordinator there was saying that actually they have it as a more student-led process now. So the students go out and find their own opportunities, and it could just be 2 days. It could just be coming to you 2 days, or it could be 1 day a week for a couple of weeks. So something that works for the student and the business. So it's not, you don't have to design a full-on program for a week and have, them there the whole time. Another great example, which I need to share on LinkedIn because I've got because Chloe's sent me the information now. So Chloe from Optima Yachts, when we were at the Brockenhurst Business Breakfast, she was saying how some of the students came down to one of the boat shows that they were exhibiting at and took some amazing photos. Now that is a great example of really kind of innovative work experience. It's a fantastic opportunity for them, and then for the business, for Optima, they've got these beautiful quality photos. So I always sort of include this in my discussion with businesses, is to challenge their thinking on work experience and placements and think about what they could offer. So great to hear, Ryan. You said you're working with a T-level student.
Yeah, so I'm working with Aaron from Bournemouth and Poole College, and he does 1 day a week with me.
Yeah.
It's initially for 6 weeks, but we're going to potentially up that over the summer. He's eager to learn. He wants to set up his own business, so he wants to know some of the practicalities of that, and the realities of it as well, the ups and the downs. But he's also done a week. He took a break last week to go and work at a cybersecurity firm, which is obviously very different from what I do. So he's getting a really broad spectrum of experiences with big companies, but also small one-man bands, one-woman bands. So I think it's a really interesting way. And like you were saying, it works quite well for me because it doesn't detract away from my bread and butter, what I have to do. But it also gives me that time to work with him and him to work with me. And I really liked what you said about they actually challenge your thinking, and he has done.
Fantastic.
He probably doesn't know that he's doing it, but he has definitely planted a few seeds.
Yeah.
The way that I've structured things, or the way that I'm presenting things. So it's been great. I've loved every minute of it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's brilliant. Right, I need to get you videoed as a quote. But that's, in all seriousness, that's exactly what it's all about. It's the opportunities for the young person, and it's what that brings to you as a business. And it's also about growing the skills in the area. As I said at the beginning, we're quite often hearing about this skills gap and skills shortages. There's been businesses recently, it's been reported, they're closing because they couldn't fill the skills gaps. So yeah, it really is important to think about these things and offer these opportunities to young people. So thank you everyone for listening. That QR code, I'm told by the digital marketing apprentice in our team, is very snazzy and will take you to all of our links and websites and whatnot. It's one of those link trees. So if anybody wants to quickly screenshot that, but I think most of you know me and I'm on LinkedIn with you, so you can always get in touch. But I'm always happy to have a cuppa. I survive on tea, and I'm quite happy. I think Astrid mentioned we had one after one of the Teuton breakfasts. We had a nice cuppa and a chat to learn more about what each other did, and I'm always happy to do that with anybody. So so thank you all for listening. Any questions?
Great, thanks a lot, Kirsty, and we will share those slides with anyone who'd like to see them. Excellent. Any thoughts or questions, or we can just talk about the weather?
Ali,
what you said about
sorry, Natalie.
Just say what you're saying about the work experience and things. I think another very simple thing is, in school they're always asked what they want to do, and have they got a plan, have they got an idea, and work experience is so valuable for testing out those ideas. Like Ryan was saying, who he's working with is trying out different things. There's also simple things like just managing yourself, just knowing how to behave in an office, what time you're expected to turn up, how to handle lunch break, all these different things that they won't have come across in a school environment but are so important in the working world. And those sort of opportunities, I think, are absolutely priceless.
Yeah, spot on, Natalie, spot on.
Well, I was just going to add to that, one of the things that we've been doing this year with our interns going into businesses is giving them the opportunity for a 2-hour session on exactly those kind of questions. because they don't always know, they don't always understand. And I went to a session yesterday on because we've done an undergraduate research internship program for students who wants to do a PhD type thing on exactly this of, have you spoken? Do you know when you're going to go in? Do you know how long you're going to be there for? Do you know where you're going to be sitting? Do you know whether you can do any hybrid working? What are you going to wear to work? You know, it's such a maze. Yeah. Even for me, when I moved from, I used to work for a company called Orsbo Response Limited, and I was able to wear jeans to work every day, you know, and then I came to the university and I'm like, so before even coming, I'm like, what do I wear? Like literally, I have no idea what to wear. Do you go like really super high posh on the first day, or do you go in jeans? You know, even people wearing sandals to work or shorts was blew my mind. So yeah,
great, thank you both, because yeah, that's spot on. That's exactly what young people need. And Natalie, you did mention your children are coming up to the age where you want to know more. So although our service is employer facing, I do have information, because at every event I meet at least one parent who asks, so I will send over some links for you to have a look at as well. So if that is the case for anyone else, please do let me know. Also, Ali, I just wanted to mention we do support charities as well. So if you do have any training needs you want to discuss with me, I'd be quite happy to do so.
Yeah, we've actually got quite, because obviously this is our first time in our own premises. Previously, we've been running for 14 years, but we've always gone to community spaces or into schools and delivered there. So this has opened up a whole wealth of things that we need to do, like sort of, you know, fire testing, you know, training and all this sort of thing. So we've got quite a blanket of courses that I need to source and find. So I think a chat would be quite useful. Also, I just wanted to add for both Kirsty and Kate, actually, is that because we're a really small team, there's only 3 of us. So we hugely see the benefits of getting an intern in or getting an apprentice in or whatever. The problem we have, of course, is because we're so small, we're very limited in what skills we can offer in order to mentor somebody. And I suppose I don't quite know where I'm going with that. Is a statement, really. But yeah, so Kate, I have sent a little message to you. I don't know if you saw it, but I'd be quite interested in learning more about the internships. But yeah.
Just to reassure...
Yeah, that's definitely something we can explore. I've just noted down your email address, so I'll pop you an email and book a meeting. We can go through, when you said all the courses, we'll go through all of your needs. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, bringing an intern in from the university is great, especially where you are in Totton. So yeah, I'm quite happy to do that. So thank you.
Just to reassure you on the not knowing what it is to train them. Yeah. For example, if you do an apprenticeship, then certainly the ones we do through Brock College, one of them comes in and deals with the apprentice. So you've got that point of contact. You know, a good apprentice provider will provide you that kind of support. Yeah. With an intern, you are sort of given them and they get on with it, but they tend to be more experienced, perhaps, possibly, or certainly, you know, we generally deal with postgraduates from the university, and they sort of know what they're doing in life, and so, but they're there just to contribute. So we give them a particular project. They just come in and sit opposite you and stare at you. You do need to kind of, that would require quite a lot from you. But to say, as we do with NFBP, you know, could you do create the content for the next 3 months while you're here? It's a specific project. Do it in your own style. Those of you who follow our social media avidly will wonder why it changes every 3 months. Yeah, and I do, because I give them pretty much the free rein. Okay.
So for an example, then we are desperate for marketing because we don't have anyone doing marketing. Yeah, absolutely desperate for it. But the problem is we haven't at the moment we haven't got the funding to employ anybody, and and we don't feel that we know enough about marketing to support. So it's a bit of an issue for us in how to navigate all of that. So
Ali, we can definitely talk that through. So in our team, you know, when I said about the QR code at the end, in our team we have he's actually just completed, but the digital marketing apprentice we had, there was no official marketer in our team. So what we did is source him a mentor outside of our team. So you can do that. So there's a website company that we work with, and they mentored him. So he had his like you said, he had his training with the training provider. They were providing teaching and learning, but he also had a mentor that was in the sector. So there is ways around it. We can always sort of figure out a plan.
Definitely, then a chat with either both would be probably really good to moving forward, I think.
I'm happy to put my hat in the ring to help on that front. I obviously have experience in marketing, so if you need any support or advice, just free, obviously, just give me a nudge.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Just one final thing, Kirsty, on T levels. I think it's been an interesting experience because with Bournemouth and Poole College, I've been a bit of a guinea pig, as they call me. I'm not sure if they mean that nicely or not, but just testing the waters in terms of T levels with what they've termed micro businesses, because I guess T levels have been structured somewhat in a way. I don't think the intention was this, but it seems for larger corporations or businesses, not necessarily for micro businesses. So I think there's been a bit of trial and error there, just because you can kind of tailor them from each provider. But for example, one of the things that was a bit of a blocker at the start, for example, is I work from my own home office. You can't bring a placement student into your home office. It's not appropriate and not part of the structure. So we were working out, if I could go somewhere to the shared working space, so I've actually started working one day a week at the college campus, which has been interesting. But small things like those, I think, need to be ironed out with T levels. Maybe not so much with the apprenticeships or internships, but I just thought it was worth noting in case anyone was thinking about bringing on a T-level student. Yeah,
so it's a good point, actually, and it was one that I was going to ask you later, because it's quite interesting, because usually work experience or some kind of placements, they do require a certain amount of people and the health and safety check on the workplace and things like that. But then, as you've just noted, they're guinea pigging it and coming up with creative solutions. So you going to them, it's a great way of getting your expertise and knowledge to those students, rather than just discounting a micro business because of you haven't got office space. So there are always creative solutions to these things. I was chatting to somebody last week as well about the option of having an intern that was done virtually, so they would maybe meet somewhere neutral at first and then carry out the internship virtually. And in fact, there's a whole company that don't do virtual internships. So yeah, there are creative solutions around this.
Yeah, and on that, that's the same thing at the university. So the internships can either be all virtual or hybrid or face-to-face. But when we do look into organisations that are working from home, then obviously we would expect that to be virtual rather than in-house. But some organisations, exactly what you just said, would come and meet at the university, and the student can find a room, and then you can have that room for that kind of like the day to have those conversations. So yeah, we're all for exactly what you're saying there.
I think it's a great idea, because there's a lot of small business owners, particularly on the South Coast and into the forest, that are doing really well, and they have a lot to offer. So it's a shame to kind of rule them out and put those barriers in place. So it is a nice way to work, and with a lot of co-working spaces like the Foundry in Poole, which is doing really well. It's brought a lot of new business in, and the economy's a lot of economic benefits for Poole as well, which is great. But they're great spaces to bring young people in. One of their T-level students is actually working in the Foundry as well. So it's finding out those creative ways, like you said, Kirsty, I think, to make this work for different businesses.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Ryan.
It's a pleasure.
Any other final thoughts from anyone? Any difficult questions for Kirsty?
I bet you've got one, Matthew.
Oh, yeah, but I wouldn't do that to her. It's been a long day.
Yeah. I was going to ask, how many are employers interested in apprenticeships, and do you find a lot of organisations saying, oh yes, I definitely want to do an apprenticeship programme, be part one?
So I think Yeah, that is all well done. That is a difficult question. So you've got your traditional companies that have always done apprenticeships. So like say that all the boat builders along the coast, you know, boat building is a classic apprenticeship. Hospitality, there's a lot of hotels out there that are regularly taking on apprentices because it's a well-known thing in their industry. Then when you sort of go outside of that sort of well-established the well-established sectors, then I'm talking to businesses that maybe it's just demystifying it. So they're kind of interested. Like I spoke to one the other day and he said the last time he hired someone, he wanted to take an apprentice, did some research, got completely confused online with all the different bits of information and conflicting information, and just gave up and hired someone. Now he got to chat to me for an hour and he was like, thank you so much, this is brilliant, let's do this. And he understands it, and we can now, you know, he can take on an apprentice. So I think sometimes it's about demystifying it. Sometimes there's barriers, as Ryan said, and it's finding those creative solutions. So yeah, a lot of what my role is promoting the opportunities and the service, and then demystifying things and really kind of helping businesses understand how apprenticeships work as well as the other skills programs. Does that answer? Yeah.
I think that's about it then. Everyone wants to get out in the garden and have a cool, refreshing something. So thank you so much, Kirsty, as always, and Kate the week before. Any questions we get, we will pass on to both of you, as we do a lot. So, and again, if you have anything that you want us to promote in our weekly email, as long as it's not every week, we'll certainly put something in for you anytime. There's, for example, when the program opens at Southampton, which is sort of every now and then, that's a good one for the intern opportunity. And likewise, Kirsty, anything you want to get out and about. But there will be opportunities for you to share that through the autumn as well, of course.
Fantastic. So, and thank you so much for having me on today.
You're very welcome. Thanks very much for all you're doing for the New Forest and for sort of bringing, you know, the work alive here, because we've missed that in previous years. So